Hello, my name is Ryan Ruiz, and this is my Philosophy of Education in Action presentation on who are good teachers. And this is for the course ED 200, Identity and Teaching, in this summer of 2026. I will be articulating my core beliefs about education, schooling, teaching, and learning. So, who are good teachers? What I learned from this course is so many transformative pedagogies that I believe showed me how to create an equitable society through education. And what good teachers looks like after reading and learning is good teachers values empathy and care towards their students and the community that they teach in. They provide hope and guidance for students to learn to have the ability to navigate an oppressed society. Good teachers are those who create a supportive, equitable environment for students on their academic journey to progress in life through education. A teacher who is wise in counsel, where students learn and grow with guidance from their teachers. Previous beliefs about who are good teachers. I used to think a good teacher are the kind that students take seriously and respect. My lens was really narrow, so I was looking through a lens of having the experience of being a substitute teacher, where if I can somehow manage the classroom in a way that the students cooperated with me and actually do their assigned work during class, then I thought, I was being a teacher that the students respected enough to not try to take advantage of while their teacher is not present. But being a good teacher isn't just about the goal of being taken seriously and being respected. This course, ED 200, goes much deeper as to what it takes to be a good teacher. I had to sort out through the intersectionalities of my own positionalities and identities and deconstruct the purpose of education. And that's where the question comes from is, how did your identities and positionalities inform and shape your original beliefs? Being a substitute teacher, my only goal in the classroom was to teach the curriculum that was given to me and make sure students were doing their assignments. But I did not consider students' lived experience that could have possibly impaired a student from learning. For example, my experience with teaching English language learners. I did a permanent substitute teaching assignment where I was with a third grade class for about 3 months till the end of the school year. And I learned that I couldn't just teach the curriculum as face value, because when it came to reading comprehension, all the English language learners were could basically their English wasn't at standard. They mostly spoke Spanish, and so basically I had to ask that question: am I truly carrying out my commitments to my students when I was teaching? So the challenges and blind spots was, I know how to teach curriculum given to me from textbooks, but how do I implement more than what the public school system requires of me as a teacher? How do I make my classroom as equitable space to learn and grow as a student? So for my students, for the English language learners, the way that I was teaching wasn't equitable to them, especially when it came to reading and writing. So it was my challenge. I worry about is, how do I approach teaching English language learners and gauge how I should grade their work and assignments that I give them? And that's where I learned that the American education system has so many flaws and inequalities and the histories of oppression, especially towards minorities and urban youth. Why? There's that problem. There's evidence that the traditional educational system isn't made for minority students, but there are set standards like standardized testings and those motives that Paulo Freire calls banking education. And it's where public schools want to use education as a tool to mold students into seeing a censored lens of reality and only see a dominant perception of American society. So we're learning in ED 200 a multicultural lens in how we can teach in the education system. But traditional education system is something that we're addressing, that we see in oppression. So often minorities are being the one that's being oppressed, and the oppressors are literally government. So for example, traditional educational system censors the concept of the culturally sustaining pedagogy. Culturally sustaining pedagogy is, as I said, having a perspective of maintaining, students and people's cultures. But in January 2012, the Arizona House bill, popularly known as the Ethnic Studies Ban, was invoked by the State Board of Education and the local school board to close the academically successful Mexican American Studies program in Tucson Unified School District. The oppressors oppressing. So what Freire proposes a method which is practice of educational freedom. So going back to the problem, to combat banking education is creating that term dialogue. So creating dialogue is a practice of educational freedom where good teachers create a learning environment where students can freely create dialogue by expressing their thoughts through open discussion activities. Good teachers give students the academic tools, lessons, and curriculum that empowers them to have the ability to articulate their thoughts and opinions. Throughout this course, a lot of patterns that I saw that many of the scholars had written about was creating dialogue, having students express themselves, to be able to formulate their own opinions, critically think. So my shift in thinking. A good teacher creates a space that is welcoming and safe in the classroom. How? Well, we want to dismantle the banking system and take on the challenge of letting students speak more freely about the curriculums we teach. We want to build a community. We must create a climate of openness and consideration of our students and how they live outside the classroom. This requires compassion, empathy, and understanding of how our students are functioning in their daily lives as well. So in my shift in thinking, when I plan to teach English for high school, I grapple with how I will approach and implement curriculum that can reflect the funds of knowledge, from learning in depth about my students' lives out of school, their family and culture. So funds of knowledge is really gathering information about my students, like how they live, again, about their family and about their culture. And this correlates to simply put it as like, I think about how I could create another term that I learned from Geneva Gay, culturally relevant curriculum. How to create that kind of curriculum where her pedagogy methods are seen as culturally responsive teaching. I'm connecting both concepts from gathering information about my students, and then I want to utilize what I learned about them and put them into practice through creating lessons that relate to them. And then this is my reflection. Reading bell hooks, I learned that being prepared to confront diversity is hard in a way where there are layers of experiences and culture that will be foreign to me, and that's when, if I don't understand something, then I need to learn about it. It's the process of unlearning what you've been taught before or influenced by growing up to now relearning something new so that I could learn how to respect the cultural experiences from people who didn't grow up like me. All right, so with my artifact, the purpose of my artifact is I will go to my artifact and then I will explain from this slide to show you what my artifact looks like. So my artifact's purpose is the idea that hope alone will transform the world. I believe that a good teacher provides hope and guidance for students to learn and have the ability to navigate an oppressed society. So what this artifact would do, this would be the first assignment that students will use to tell me what they expect from me and what they want to learn about and how they want the classroom space to be like. So what I did was I combined this assignment using Duyckin's Andrade's concept of critical hope. So the critical hope is material hope, Socratic hope, and audacious hope. So this is the description of 3 necessary elements of educational practices. And I wanted to create a lesson where the students can learn as a base to critically think academically what is important to them and let them reflect on what they want and need as a student. Again, so when it comes to material hope, it's the tangible, practical support needed for individuals to survive and thrive. And so what I hope for reflection. On the green side, it says I hope for resources. And so I asked the students in the assignment, what do you need in order to thrive? What resources can I give you as a teacher for you to thrive? And then the Socratic hope. So Socratic hope is the ongoing critical reflection and analysis of systemic inequalities and social problems alongside the community. As I get to know them, they're going to know also through what I teach them is, what I hope for in social justice is what I could learn from them, meaning what are problems in society that they care about. So whatever's going with them, they could reflect on, okay, this is what's happening with me and say social media. This is what I see on social media and I think it's a problem. So whatever culture that they're in and whatever they can identify as a problem, that's something they could tell me about and see if I could create a curriculum in hopes that, hey, I could do something about this inequality. And then audacious hope. Audacious hope is fostering a deep sense of solidarity and shared struggles with the community. So on the yellow side, I hope for my voice to be heard. I want to hear what they have to say. And so for the classroom space as a teacher, I ask them, how and what ways can we make this space safe to express yourself? And so this is my artifact that I would be giving to the students in the beginning of the school year, of kind of gauging, what do they care about? What do they need from me? And how can I make this classroom space safe for them to express themselves? And then lastly, overall, who are good teachers? I'm going back to Freire because he defines the feature of true dialogue that sums up what I learned from this course and what a good teacher should value and emulate in their classrooms. So, features of true dialogue. Teachers, a good teacher, what they value is love of humanity and the world. Having humility and the willingness to listen to others' opinions, faith in humanity, trust of each other, and again, hope. So hope that can transform the world. That's what I said on this one. The idea that hope alone will transform the world. So hope that transformation can happen. And lastly, critical thinking. All right, here are my citations. This concludes my presentation.